Okay, again, everything is recognition. So whatever the person is experiencing, again, they can even tell you in words what it is, but it doesn't really describe it. So it's up to the individual to recognize, all right? Not always figure out, that's what we do with our mind, but then we recognize the experience. And, maybe at first we don't, maybe it takes a while. That's okay, be patient. So I have experiences too. I don't always recognize them right away. I just kind of let it be. And as I'm just doing whatever or walking on the beach, all of a sudden I'm looking at it, and all of a sudden, see, I'm looking to see it. I'm not really looking to figure it out. I'm looking to see what it is and where does it apply. You see? So again, we have a lot of information with all of us, and where does it apply? So if it doesn't apply anywhere, what heck good is it? Why carry it? Just let it go. But if it does, we bring it in a certain way, and like we're doing here, we're sharing so that others have that experience too, to become more aware. So again, doesn't matter. These are the ideas that we have: multidimensional portals, real universes, whatever. Again, it's all about recognition. What does the person see for themselves? And many times they really can't describe that. And whatever it is, and whatever they see, and whatever they recognize, and whatever they decide, it's all fine. Well, that's another idea, parallel universes or whatever. In other words, ones that are like this, there's parallel Earths and whatever. And so, again, it's like a car manufacturer making, 10,000 of the same cars. They're all parallel to each other. And so when you take a whole realm or universe or whatever, it parallels itself. Everything does that. So in other words, everything is a duplication of itself. That's what it is. But through it all is what the is, through all of that. So again, when you're looking at something, that's what you're seeing. When I'm looking outside, I see the trees, I see the sky, whatever. Those are the ideas. And in my mind, it's saying, oh, trees, sky, hill, cars, ground, whatever it is, okay, house, whatever it is, that's your mind. But to see through all that and to see what's real, that's the whole idea of all these references we have with creation. So within creation, we create these identities, don't we? Oh, this is a parallel universe. This is another dimension. This is portal X, Y, Z. You see, those are things in creation. And so to see through all of that and to recognize what's real, because we need that in comparison to recognize what's real. So in other words, we can see reality. We can be taken to the real universes. And many have, and I've taken people there, they've taken me, whatever. Okay? But you need that recognition. And so here's the idea. Look at all that you can see and imagine on the earth. Look at it all that's been created, whatever it's creation, the surface world. Then compare it to the sun. Okay, so you can do that. You can compare it to the sun shining. Now, that comparison that you've just decided, what do you see with that? In that comparison, what do you see? See, it's not about the creation on the earth. It's not about the sun shining. It's what you see within the comparison that gives you the hint to something more, you see? And that's invisible, isn't it? Yeah. Let me explain this one part so it's very simple for you again. So it's in the comparison. So this is one way. There's many ways and there's endless ways, but we'll just use this one. Again, the earth and what's been created, and then the sun as an example. We compare the two. We see the difference. Earth has creation on it, sun is shining. So however you define the difference, but you see there is a difference, right? The sun is shining out there. The earth has creation on it. They are different. So you see the comparison that they are different. Now, within that comparison, what you do is you take that comparison, you might say, with your mind, and then you have the possibility to recognize something else that's already taking place. And that part is unseen, and you cannot consider it in any way. It's about seeing and recognizing. So this is where you have the pieces here to compare, and it's in that comparison that you learn to see more than the comparison itself. But the comparison starts the process to be able to recognize something else, you see? Here's the idea. Again, we've come up with all this knowledge, haven't we? We've come through all this knowledge, Eckankar, our parents, schooling, all this stuff, okay? We've come all through this stuff. Now we've come to the point where it gets real. See, we've come through all the foo-foo, all the funny stuff, all the hocus pocus, all the tricksters, all the deception. Now it comes to the point of getting very, very real and recognizing what's real. And so at some point I recognize that, whoa, this is just far too real, because you cannot grasp it in the same way as you do considering things. It's like when you go to the store, you look at the pile of apples there and you look for the best ones. Yeah, you're comparing. It's like you just don't grab them usually. You look at them and you look at this one and that one. And, you know, you're looking for the best ones, and there is a comparison there. So that's something in the personal sense and with your mind. But here's something with the comparison. That's why we use the sun as the first step, because the sun is indifferent to the earth and what's taking place here. In other words, it doesn't matter what takes place on the earth. The sun is not concerned. It just keeps shining. No matter if good things are happening, bad things are happening, whatever, it just keeps shining. So it's a great example of what life is. But the next step is to, how do you recognize what life is instead of just thinking that, oh, life is like the sun shining? That's in the thinking process, and most people will just go with that. Oh, life is like the sun shining. I'm a free being of light. I'm this or that. But it doesn't mean they have the recognition. That becomes the reality of ourselves. That's what lights our being, is the recognition, you see? So it's like inventing the light bulb. It's like, oh, the room's dark. How do I make it light? Well, you got to invent a light bulb, or you got to start a fire. You got to do something. You see, it's not just that, oh, it's dark and I'll just pretend it's light. Well, you can do that too. But in the physical sense, there's something to do. So this is the action or the activity of the real you combined with the personal self to learn to see through what you've known into something more real that cannot be considered. I know, it's amazing how it is. And forget the ups and downs, the left and right, all that stuff. No, you don't need any of that. It's an isness. It's here now. You don't have to project. You don't have to go through different levels. You don't have to soul travel. You don't have to do any of that. This isness. It's so cool. And it's so precious. And
Yeah.
when I look at the innocence of children, they have it, but they don't recognize it yet. And that's what's so fun about talking to children about their real side experiences and whatever, and see if we can get to the point to where they do recognize it, because they're in that position of not being all conditioned with all these considerations that people have, because they're always, when we're sharing the new you and that, and we're telling people, of course, they're thinking and imagining with their mind. They're trying to grasp what you're saying because all they have is the mind stuff. Children don't have that. They don't have that. They don't know what you're talking about. They don't care. But they will tell you what they see. So that's what you ask them. From what you ask them to tell you, what do you see? And see, because they don't have to think about it. They'll just see what they do, and all of a sudden they start seeing things, and they'll tell their parents, and their parents will think, oh, you're just imagining that, sweetie. You know, your little invisible friends or whatever, you're just imagining that. See, because the parents are conditioned. And so again, it's being like that child. Let it all go. Do you